Welcome back to another lesson with us. Today we'll be looking at Sociology, May June 2021, Unit 1, Paper 1. Alright, so let us begin. Number 1. Which of the following is used to argue that sociology is a science? A. It is concerned with observable and deductive methods of investigation. B. It can produce interpretive understanding using in-depth methods. C. It relies heavily on observation and uncontrolled environment. Or D. It is an ideological approach to investigating social life. And the answer is A. 2. A subculture can best be defined as a group that A. whose cultural traits have been assimilated in modern society. B. Which has norms and values that differ from those of mainstream society. C, which has certain cultural traits that are inferior to those of the wider society. Or D, which is located within the substructure of society and is therefore exploited and oppressed. Number 2 is B. It has norms and values that differ from the mainstream society. Similar practices that are found in most societies are called A. Syncretism, B. Value consensus, C. Cultural universals, and D is cultural adaptations, and it is universal. Many young people in the Caribbean have adopted the lifestyles of their counterparts in North America. This could be an example of A. Cultural diffusion, B. Cultural reaction, C. Interculturation, or D. Acculturation. That is A. Cultural diffusion. Cultural patterns that strongly oppose the established norms of the dominant culture within a society are called countercultures because they oppose, right? And that word counter would mean opposing or against. Number 6, which of the following theories subscribes to the view that a shared culture is necessary if a society is to run smoothly? And remember that in sociology, the theorist that really believes in society working together for the greater good would be Durkheim. Number 7, according to Parsons, which of the following situations provides a basis for the maintenance of order in society? A. Submitting to the authority of a ruler. B. People subscribing to a common value system. C. People entering into social contracts with each other. Or D. Members of society being constrained by social facts. Number 7 is B. Which of the following features of Caribbean society are outlined in M.G. Smith's Plural Society? 1. Society characterized by cultural differentiation. 2. High levels of social mobility by all groups. Or 3. Limited access to political and economic institutions by the lower strata. Alright, so remember about plural society model and what it would have said to us about two cultures coming together. Alright, so 8 would have been 1 and 3. So the two cultures would have been present, but there is a clear sign of cultural differentiation, and also there was limited access of political and economic institutions by the lower strata. 9. The maintenance of a group's unique cultural forms and characteristics in a diverse society is known as. And number 9 is cultural pluralism. So it's the same thing that we were just saying, that two cultures were present in the area, but there were distinct cultural practices. According to the Marxist perspective, the power of the ruling class comes from the ownership of the means of production. Which of the following sets are considered means of production? And number 10 would have been A. Major difference between positivists and interpretivists is that positivists believe that they should use quantitative research methods while interpretivists use qualitative research methods. When a research method is repeatedly applied and consistently produces the same results in a study, it is said to be, and that is 12, the answer is reliable. A sociologist who decides to research the prevalence of teenage pregnancy over various generations in a society is pursuing a longitudinal study. Which of the following is not considered a strength of positivism? And number 14 is D. Sorry, I should say A. That should be B. So, reflexibility basically is the researcher's awareness of their impact on the research process. Positivists, they don't want the researcher to have any impact on their study. So, therefore, that would not be a strength of positivism. Item 15 refers to the following information. The Children of the Sun is a radical group that advocates green revolution, eco-friendly production. It has been accused of several violent attacks against the petrochemical industry, but there's no evidence to implicate members of the group. Which of the following research techniques would be most appropriate for investigating this group? All right, so it would more to be observation, since you will not be able to go in to a group like that and ask any questions. So it's C. Alright, so let's look at this diagram, which is a family structure. Which of the following types of family structures does the diagram above illustrate? We have a female and a male, they get married, and then their children, they have children, and both of their children get married as well. So we find another family would have been created. So it would be an extended family. But would it be a vertically extended family or horizontally extended family? So the answer would be horizontally, because we don't see a lot of family going down through this family. Instead, we see that these people got married. Which of the following statements does not describe social pathology in the Caribbean family? All right. The answer for this would have been C. So remember that social pathology in the Caribbean family said that fathers were not present, family life would have been loose and unstable, and because there was promiscuous activities and people did not get married before they started to have children, fathers started to neglect the children, and these children were not able to go to school. Which of the following is a major feature of changing family structures in the Caribbean? 18 would have been C, decreasing household size. According to Talcott Parsons, the family structure has been transformed by two major processes, and these processes would have been A. Matrifocality in the Caribbean emerged because of marriage among the enslaved was generally prohibited. So the woman would have to take care of children in the slave plantations. Which of the following statements is not true of the Marxist perspective on religion? All right. So Marxist does not believe that anything unifies society, right? So therefore, the answer for 21 would have been D. Which of the following are characteristics of a cult? At number one says at variance with traditional society, two, strong bureaucratic structure, or three, loosely organized with small exclusive membership. All right, so 22 would have been B. 23, which of the following may best be described as an example of ethnocentrism. 23 would have been C, viewing of one's religion as the correct belief system. 24, in Caribbean societies, religion is often seen as being integrative in nature, which sociological perspective on religion reinforces this statement. And 24 would have been D. Remember that functionalists believe that everything works for the greater good. These institutions work for the greater good. So they integrate the different persons in society and they bring social control and social order. Religion is a product of patriarchy. This statement reflects the sociological theory of who, right? And from here, patriarchy, the most suitable answer here would have been A, feminism. 26. The main technique used by leaders of sex to build their gathering is what? And 26 is C, charisma, an emphasis on purity of their doctrine. Which of the following best explains the objective of decolonization of Caribbean education systems? And 27 would have been D, reducing dependence on the European model. 28, the Caribbean education system produces some individuals who cannot read and write sufficiently, making them unable to administer simple daily tasks. What is the term for this condition? And 28 would have been B. Number 29, the Marxist perspective on education stresses that education allows the elite to dominate society. 30, one of the latent functions of education can best be reflected in students. And 30 would have been A. Alright, so 30 would have been 31. The term social stratification relates to the existence of social inequality. Right, so from we can stratify society, that means that social society is not equal. 32. Which of the following systems of social stratification existed in the Caribbean prior to emancipation? Of course, 32 would have been slavery. 33. Stratification occurs not because it is functional, but because groups compete for scarce resources, which sociological perspective is illustrated in this statement. Alright, so 33 is Marxist perspective. 34. Which of the following statements relates to the functionalist theory? Alright, so 34 is A. Stratification is universal, necessary, and inevitable. Which of the following statements relates to the conflict theory? So we have to read the statements. A. Stratification is universal, necessary, and inevitable. B. Stratification is an expression of the values of powerful groups. C. Change in the stratification system comes through an evolutionary process. Or D. In market economies, classes develop from people's situation in relation to buying and selling. So 35, that is B. 36, which of the following options best describes false class consciousness? Alright, and 36, being unaware of the interests of one's social class. Marx and Weber shared similarities and differences in their views about class analysis. Which of the following views was shared by both theories? And that is D. Dominant groups control the working class. 38. Social stratification is useful to society because it helps to, and 38 would have been D. Allocate persons to roles for which they are best suited. Society is kept together by value consensus. Which of the following theories is associated with this view? Alright, so once you hear about keeping society together, you know that this is a functionalist. But which functionalist would have said that? right? So 39 is A, Emil Durkheim. 40 in a closed society, which determinant would least affect a person's social class, right? And number 40 is B, education. Mary was forced to leave school at an early age and could only obtain work at a hotel as a maid. She went back to school at night and eventually became an engineer. At age 40, Mary's experience shows that education serves as a vehicle for what? And 41 would have been intragenerational mobility. Item 42 refers to the following information. John's father is a cleaner at a local car company. John recently attained his degree at the university and is employed as a business manager in a prestigious organization. Which of the following types of social mobility describes John's experience? Alright, so the one before was intrageneration. This one is intergenerational. Lloyd Brathwaite's description of a plural society is evident only in, and 43 will have been D. Marx believed that class conflict exists in capitalist societies. Which of the following contributes to class conflict? And that is family and the government. And 45, during slavery, the elites in the Caribbean were able to maintain their economic and social dominance through, and that is the use of force. All right, so that would be the end of this paper, which is Sociology 2021, Unit 1, Paper 1. If you have any questions or anything that you do not agree with, you can always comment below. Please like, subscribe, and share if you found this video interesting or if you learned something new. See you next time.